Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolours. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Hello and welcome back to How to Paint Watercolours with me, Colin. I've stretched my paper, which is just basically wetting both sides of the paper and then making sure that all the air pockets are out and the paper remains flat. And this will do away with the need for any tape. You don't need it. And all I'm doing is just leaving a thin film of water on the face of the picture, on the picture side, just removing all the excess, taking the water off from round the sides, round the edges. This will minimise any runbacks that may be tempted to form. Just taking a mop brush. Which way should we have this going? Yeah, that will do. Indian yellow, all the way across. Beautiful colour. Cadmium orange. This is Indian yellow and permanent rose. Cadmium red deep. As you've guessed, it's a sunset painting, and the reason why I'm doing them is to get you to use the other side of the colour wheel where all your reds and oranges are. Every time somebody wants to paint a landscape, it's usually with greens. I've just tried to show you something a little different. Just pulling the colours together. And I just want to take out a little section, maybe here. And I'm just mixing some cadmium red deep, some burnt umber and a touch of the orange, which is made from the Indian yellow and permanent rose. I just want to bring some into the corners here, just bring it a little darker. Maybe a few strokes here. Then taking your big flat brush or a big round brush and just tuck, I hope you can see that, just tuck the bristles of the brush just underneath the paper, remove any excess paint that may have gathered. Just taking out the bright spot once again, as it will tend to backfill. Maybe just a little bit here. Okay, and then we're going to leave this to dry. Okay, now that your paper is basically dry, but it is still damp, which helps when you come to clip it down, and I don't use masking tape. And I'm just going to re-wet the bottom portion of the painting. And I'm not bothered if it disturbs the paint. This is just to stop it drying out fully, and it allows you to paint. So once I have that, I'm just going to wet these two. This is cadmium orange and burnt sienna. Bring it right up to the line. Just encouraging it to flow a little bit. And then while that is flowing, this is burnt sienna with some French ultramarine, and I'm just putting this on the top edge just to make it stand out a little further, and I will be lifting some paint out. I don't want this one to be as strong. Just pull it down, remove any excess water that accumulates along the bottom. And I'm just going to re-wet this background hill here, and we're going to give it the same treatment, burnt sienna and cadmium orange. Don't play around with it too much. This is just a scrunched up kitchen towel. removing some of the excess water off once again, and then burnt sienna with a touch of French ultramarine. I'm just going to give the tops of these hills just some tiny bit of detail, just to show that there's a forest here. And as you can see, you can use a rigger brush for this, or a very fine detail brush, but just bring the tops of the trees just slightly above where the wet paint is, and pull it into the wet paint, and you'll end up with treetops. A little more paint, and with the board being set at an angle, it should flow into the paint that you've already put on and create the illusion that there are more trees in the back or in the distance. Burnt sienna and French ultramarine just in places, just to change it slightly so it's not all one flat wash. I just want to dry off this area around here. Now we are going to have to leave this to dry a second or two so we can come in here, because I don't want anything to run together, not at the moment, and then we'll bring the picture forward. We'll lift a little paint out of these. I think we might be able to do that now. So I'm just going to take a damp brush and just off the top of the hills, I'm going to just put some light patches in, just where you think the sun would catch them. This all adds interest. And we're going to leave this to dry up for a few minutes. Now that your picture's started to dry out, you just keep clipping it, as this is still wet, as I wet it before, you saw me do it, and this will still stay stretched without drying out. So we come to these background trees and we're moving on, and I'm just going to run a line of water just along the back edge. This is where the background trees meet the lake area. Cadmium orange with some burnt sienna in it. I'm going to test it for its strength. Always remember it will dry lighter. And as you go into the water with your paintbrush, I'm using a rigger brush for this, but any detail brush will do it. And like I say, as you go into the water, it will actually start to fade off as the paint is pulled out of the brush. Don't have them all the same size, and I'm just going to drop in some Indian yellow because it's in the sky and I want some of it to show in the trees. Not everywhere, but just enough to change it slightly. And with a damp brush, I'm going to soften this in. Then with some clean water once again, I'm just coming to the left hand side and I'm just wetting this area here. I will be putting 2 lines of evergreens in here, or fir trees, and we might as well do this side as well. These may show a little more detail. Cadmium orange and burnt sienna once again. And once again I'm starting above the water line and I'm just pulling into the water and allowing it to drift down. And because we're coming closer, I actually want to put just a hint of detail on some of the trees. And you will notice that there is no green in sight. Once again, I just want to drop in some Indian yellow. Then just allow all this to drift down. Just strengthening up in some areas. This will just add variation. I'm coming around to this side. Once again, a little detail as you come forward, but not too much. Taking some of the Indian yellow once again, and I want to catch the just the tops of some of these with it, just to emphasise the sun, just using a rigger brush, just throwing a little colour in, maybe a little cadmium orange, maybe a little in here as well, and then just maybe some Indian yellow in these, removing any excess water or paint that may have gathered. Burnt sienna and ultramarine, 1 or 2 spots here, and I just mean 1 or 2 spots. Just drying off the shoreline. Once again, I'm going to leave this to dry just a little further again. And as you can see, each time we allow it to dry and we come forward, we create the next layer, which adds depth to your painting, which is what you're looking for really to be successful. So we're going to allow this to dry and then we'll have a look. Okay, these have dried out nicely now, and I'm just going to show you once again that I'm re-wetting the bottom portion of the painting just to keep it moist, and then we will continue to bring the painting forward. Once again, some water to remove any excess off. You don't want to dampen it really, just to allow the paint to spread. Once again, burnt sienna with some French ultramarine, excuse me, and you can put this on quite thick now because we really want this to really come forward. Once again, just a little interest, just helps to pull your eye in and tell you that there are trees here. Same on this side, varying the heights of the trees. And as we're coming closer now, it's a stronger version, French ultramarine and burnt umber. Pat this in. This will help to bring it really forward. Remember, it will dry lighter. Just bring it forward down here. Same on this side, really, just bring it forward. French ultramarine and burnt umber once again. I've got this in, and I'm actually going to lie the board flat, so the next time you see it, the board will be flat. We're going to allow this now to dry. We're going to put the board flat and then allow it to dry out. Welcome back. Now that your trees are dry, I'm just going to take some water once again, and I'm just going to keep this lake area always wet so it doesn't dry out. Like I said earlier on, it helps to stop your paper cockling and drying out too fast, and it keeps it flat. This is done straightforward cadmium orange, and it really is quite thick, but I'm just going to see if it will hold its own against the background colour. Just thicken it once again. I want them to stand out. It's almost like the backlit, and I'm using a rigger brush for this. Pull the tops of these trees out in orange, cadmium orange, and I'm just doing it where the sun would catch the tops and will darken them as we come down. And in this one I think we'll have permanent rose and Indian yellow, and we'll pull the tops of these out with this colour. Forgive my arm. This colour needs to be reasonably thick so that it stands out. And then as we come down, I'm going to change the colour up slightly. French ultramarine and burnt umber. Still using the rigger brush. Pull these two colours together. Bring them gently down. Keep it going on both sides. Just pulling the two colours together. Just going to add some into some shadow form here. Same colour. French ultramarine, burnt sienna. Just creating a shoreline and some rough broken land. Then once again I'm just re-wetting the lake area, and we'll put the reflections in. I'm trying not to touch where the wet paint is. And then with the same colour, I'm just going to run this in. Just allow it to spread. Same on this side. I have got the border lane flat. Just feeding the colour in. Some cadmium orange, maybe little bits in here. Just the colours of the sky really. Just a bit darker. Some medium yellow. Nice and dark here. Soften the edges off. Just lifting some paint out along the centre. Softening everything in. And before I put the reflections of the trees in, this is too wet at the moment, it will just spread everywhere. And when it's dried off a tiny bit, we'll put the reflections of the main evergreens in, and then we'll get round to finishing it off. So we're just going to leave this for maybe 10 minutes. Okay, I've left the picture for about maybe 10 minutes or so, and you can see that the shine has disappeared off the paper, but it's still damp. So I'm just putting in quite a strong mix of burnt sienna and French ultramarine, and we're just going to pop these reflections in. Now these will spread and soften, and I'm just going to put the indication of some branches, but I'm not too bothered how these, it's not a mirror image, it just allows them to be effective. Same on this side. Just drop in a little bit of red in the top and a little bit of cadmium orange into this one, and I'm going to stop fiddling. I think we'll put 3 birds in the sky, maybe a little one here. Okay, now we have to allow all this to dry and then we can finish it off. Okay, your painting's dry now, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a couple of wind streaks in and give the lake just a little bit of movement, and it also helps to break up these reflections. One there, I think, one further down. If you've enjoyed this video, please click the like button, and if you want to see further videos, please subscribe. All subscribers are welcome, and if you want to see some other videos that I've made for YouTube, I'll leave a link in the description box and it will take you straight to them. Maybe just one more here, making sure you keep it straight. I think that will do it. Now you get round to the best bit. This is where you get to sign it, mount it, and then frame it. And once again, I'd like to thank you for watching. So thank you very much.